Good afternoon. This is Dennis Rousseau with AircraftPost's Rousseau Report. Welcome to our first session of 2021. I was asked recently where we source our photos, and I'm pleased to say we take the majority of them, mostly right here in Colorado. If any of our viewers have photos they would like us to use, we would welcome the opportunity. In our last session, we talked about the Citation Sovereign and its successor, the Sovereign Plus. If you recall, the primary differences between the two aircraft are the Sovereign Plus utilizes a new wing that's longer, holds more fuel, and incorporates swooplets, which are basically upturned wingtips versus the 90-degree or canted winglet found on many other business jets. This, plus the uprated Pratt & Whitney engines, Garmin 5000 touchscreen cockpit, all contributed to an increase in range and performance. The interior was also upgraded to include new passenger seats, improved air conditioning, and the Clarity cabin management system. Sans the wing, and the two aircraft are difficult to tell apart. Today, we're going to continue with the next iteration of the Sovereign Plus using the 680 type certificate, which is a technological marvel in so many ways. The Latitude was announced in 2011 with its first flight in 2014 and entering into service 2015. Most next-gen aircraft use its predecessor's fuselage and made a new wing and perhaps new engines and cockpit. Conversely, the Latitude mated the Sovereign Plus wing and empennage to a new, larger fuselage diameter. That in and of itself is quite a feat, and as Cessna CEO told me in 2016, that's what 2,500 engineers can do. In addition, the Latitude has 25% larger cabin windows, although there are only 5 on each side compared to 7 on the Sovereigns, which we'll get to in just a moment. Now, whenever you modify something, there are trade-offs. And in the case of the Latitude, the certified ceiling dropped to 45,000 feet versus the 47,000 feet on the Sovereigns. However, by increasing the fuselage diameter to 83 inches, the Latitude offers 6-foot cabin height versus the Sovereign's 5'7" and a flat floor throughout the cabin, a first for any Citation, as well as the quietest Citation ever built. Passengers will also notice a much lower cabin altitude at cruise, going from 7,200 down to 5,900 feet, keeping in mind that the lower the cabin altitude, the closer you get to sea level, which reduces crew and passenger fatigue. Although both the Sovereign Plus and Latitude share the Garmin 5000 avionics, because the tube is bigger, the cockpit is also larger, a feature flight crews truly appreciate. Instead of using traditional keypads, pilots touch the data into one of the touchscreen controllers, and multifunction controllers in the center console eliminate the need for dedicated flight management CDUs or control display units. Another carryover from the Sovereign Plus are the Pratt & Whitney 306D engines that have a TBO, or time between overhaul, of 6,000 hours. To put this into perspective, if you fly 400 hours per year, that equates to 15 years of utilization before the engines are due a major inspection. Now put all these features together, and you have an aircraft with a stand-up cabin capable of a 2,700 nautical mile coast-to-coast range under the majority of conditions. Now let's take a look at the passenger cabin. If you recall, the Sovereigns have double club seating, 4 singles in the forward cabin and 4 singles aft that comprise just under 15 feet of cabin length, with a forward galley and aft lap. The Latitude has near the length of its predecessors. However, as mentioned earlier, the seats are newly designed and are much wider and also provide greater distance fore and aft. In its standard configuration, the cabin features 6 seats with a 2-place divan just aft of the cockpit and a 9th passenger seat located opposite, yes, the toilet. This is traditional Cessna, attempting to get 10 pounds into a 5-pound bag, although the average passenger load is 3. You'll also notice opposite the 2-place divan in the forward cabin and the vestibule is a refreshment center, not to be confused with a full-service galley. Between the cockpit and forward divan is a storage cabinet that also houses the standard 17-inch cabin monitor. And opposite the cabinet and aft of the PIC seat is the refreshment center with an ice drawer and hot and cold water capability. For those owners that do not have a need for 9-passenger seating, for around $45,000 when the aircraft is new, the divan can be replaced with a single side-facing seat and a right-hand side galley opposite a full-length closet, which seems to be the preferred configuration. The main passenger cabin is separated from the cockpit by an acoustical curtain. And we have the forward club seating, then 2 single, forward-facing seats with pull-out tables on each side, and similar to the Sovereigns, the Latitude has an AFLAV. It also incorporates the 9th seat, or it can be converted to a full-size closet, which most owners do. If you notice, the emergency exit is also located in the LAV versus having it in the cabin. This is a critical point, as we'll see in the Longitude, which we'll talk about next. In terms of competition, the aircraft goes up against Embraer's Legacy 450, which has recently been rebranded the Praetor 500. Once again, in any direct comparison, there are pluses and minuses on each side. The Latitude has a 500 nautical mile range advantage and is powered by Pratt & Whitney engines with a 6,000-hour fixed inspection interval, whereas the Legacy 450 has the Honeywell 7000 series engines that are maintained on condition. Both have a 6-foot cabin height, and both entered service in 2015. The Latitude has 251 aircraft in service, compared to the 450's 59 over the same 5-year time frame. Let's now see how the Latitude has performed in the pre-owned market. As of January 2021, there are 6 available aircraft on the market, with ask prices ranging from $10.7 to $13.5 million, with an average 185 days on the market. In the last 6 months, there have been 4 pre-owned transactions, with prices ranging from $10.9 to $11.5 million. From a residual value perspective, when we look at other aircraft such as a 2015 G550 or Global 6000, trading on the pre-owned market at 50% of their original cost new, the Latitude is faring quite well, losing just 27% over the last 5 years. Now, if we factor a $15 million price point new, assume market depreciation to remain about the same over the next 10 years, we can expect a 15-year residual value of $6.3 million. Or in other words, the Latitude will retain 42% of its original cost new. Now, Textron has been dabbling in the super mid-size markets for some time, in an attempt to compete with the Challenger 350, the Gulfstream G280, and Embraer's Legacy 500, which was just recently rebranded the Praetor 600. With the success of the Latitude, Cessna knew they had built the best Citation in its history. So they took it one step further, stretched the fuselage 5 feet, designed a new wing and empennage, and mated this with the Honeywell's HTF 7000 engine to create the super mid-size Citation Longitude. The drawback, if we can call it that, to using the same fuselage cross-section is the difficulty in telling the aircraft apart when looking at them head-on. However, from a side view, the differences become apparent. We can now see the additional 5 foot in fuselage length, as evidenced by the 7 cabin windows on the Longitude, the T-tail configuration, and the wing. As mentioned earlier, the placement of the emergency window in the cabin versus the lavatory has somewhat of an impact on aft cabin seating, which we'll see in a moment. Zooming into the Longitude, you'll notice the wing curvature, as well as the newly designed winglet, which is very similar to the winglet on the Falcon 8X. Further, the aircraft has trailing link landing gear, which contributes to smooth landings almost every touchdown. The Longitude has the same Garmin 5000 avionics, with touchscreen technology, and also owners can add the optional HUD EVS for around $600,000. All of these enhancements and technology contribute to a range of 3,500 nautical miles, which certainly gives the Longitude an advantage in the super midsize category. Similar to the competition, the aircraft offers double club seating in a near 17-foot long cabin, or the 2 aft left-hand side singles can be exchanged for a berthable divan. The forward galley is over 5 feet long and is well equipped and designed for a 3,500 nautical mile mission. As we move into the passenger cabin, you'll see the standard double club seating, and as you'll notice, the windows are ideally positioned to where passengers do not have to crouch down to see out. As mentioned earlier, by having the emergency window in the cabin, the aftmost right-hand seat is stationary and as such doesn't have the ability to swivel or track fore and aft. As well, the pull-out table is much smaller than a standard table because of the emergency exit. With 31 aircraft now in service, the Longitude is well positioned in price and performance to compete in the super midsize market. And it can go up against the likes of the Gulfstream G280, the Challenger 350, and Praetor 600. As a testament to the Longitude's early success, there is no pre-owned market as yet. Time will tell as to how the aircraft holds its value. However, if we use the Latitude as a benchmark, the Longitude will do just fine. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, I'm Dennis Rousseau with AircraftPost's Rousseau Report.